Hello everyone. So in this video, we'll take a look at one sector that I'm extremely bullish on, and that is the private sector banking space. Now, this is not some sort of an opinion video. I'll give you solid, pure facts backed by data. So by the end of this video, you will not just understand why I'm bullish on this space, but you will also know what are the major metrics that you should use when you want to evaluate the financial health of any bank. So let's start. So this study was performed based on the Q2 results of 12 private sector banks. That includes HDFC Bank, ICICI Bank, Axis Bank, Kotak Bank and the other players in the market. So based on how those results were, we will get an approximate view of how the entire banking space is performing in general. Now make no mistake, during any economic crisis, banking sector is going to be the worst affected sector. But first let us take a look at some metrics that are going to give us a view of the banking space. If you take a look at the net interest income, now net interest income is the interest earned minus the interest paid out by the banks, and it's a major source of revenue for all the banks. On a year-on-year basis, this number has showed a 11% growth. If you talk about the other income sources that all the banks have, that has also grown by 16% on a year-on-year basis. Now, what do these two metrics suggest? This tells us that the top line, which is the revenue for all the banks, that has grown at a very healthy pace, which shows that the demand is back in the economy, or at least the signs are there. If we talk about the operating profit for the banks, that has also grown by 6% on a year-on-year basis. Again, a positive news for the banks. Now let us talk about provisions. Now provision is something that the bank sets aside thinking that these might turn into NPAs or non-performing assets. So if as a bank I am giving out 100 rupees and I think that let's say 8 or 10 rupees might not come back to me, I am going to make a provision or set aside those 8 to 10 rupees thinking that they might not come back to me. Interestingly, the figure of provisions on a year-on-year basis has gone down by 22%, which means that the banks are setting aside a reduced number, which also suggests that the banks think that the NPAs that they might give in the future might go down. Now, if you take a look at the net profit, that has also jumped by 26%. We have already discussed the top line, which was showing a healthy growth. Now coming to the bottom line, which is the profit, that is also showing a very good growth on a year-on-year basis. Now, when you want to analyze the health of any bank, if nothing at all, just take a note of these two metrics. One is gross NPA and the other is net NPAs. So gross NPA gives us the picture of the total non-performing loans that the bank has. And if you compare it on a quarter-on-quarter basis, because that would make more sense for any bank, that has gone down by 3.5%, almost 4%. Now net NPAs, which is gross NPAs minus the provision that the bank has already set aside, that number has also gone down by 7% on a quarter-on-quarter basis. If you take a look at the total number of loans that the banks are giving out, that has gone up by 12%. Now try to picture this entire situation. The number of loans that the banks are giving out, that is going up. The loans that they're giving out, the probability of those loans being converted into NPAs, that is going down. So that's a twofold advantage for any bank, and that is one of the major reasons why I am so bullish on this banking space. These numbers suggest that all these banks are in a better position to lend more. And with the economy reviving, with the demand coming back to pre-COVID levels, this situation is not just going to prove well for the banks, but for the entire industry in general, which will be in a better position to take loans from the banks and then assist in the overall growth of that particular sector. So this was a basic view of how the Q2 results proved to be extremely good for the private sector bank and why I am bullish on this particular space. Now, given the kind of results that the private sector banks have declared in this particular quarter, it's very likely that Bank Nifty might no longer be a laggard and it soon catches up to the growth that Nifty has shown. Alright, this was my analysis on why I am bullish on this space. I hope you liked the video. Do subscribe to Finance Lens for more of such content. and I'll see you the next time.